Economic Freedom Fighters leader Julius Malema is approaching the Constitutional Court seeking impeachment or disciplinary proceedings against President Jacob Zuma. Malema seeks to put Zuma on trial for conduct associated with the Nkandla scandal. Economic Freedom Fighters wants the ConCourt to order the Speaker of Parliament to initiate proceedings against President Jacob Zuma. All the papers will be filed today, exactly 1 year after the ConCourt had already settled the matter in its historic judgment. Joining us on the phone line is Malema, the national convener of the Black First, Land First. Mr. Andile, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. Now, firstly, what do you make of the FF's move to bring this application and the ConCourt now?
The timing of this application by the Economic Freedom Fighters indicates that white monopoly capital is fighting back. This has got nothing to do with the conduct of the president. The matter of Nkandla has been resolved. The president has paid back the money, and he's even apologized. That matter is closed, it's done. But what Julius Malema is doing, clearly trying to defend white monopoly capital. White monopoly capital in South Africa is very worried that President Zuma is taking a radical stance and removing obstacles to radical economic transformation, including possible removal, in fact, imminent removal of Minister Pravin Gordhan. This desperate attempt by Julius Malema, it is to try to divert attention of the president and the nation from the task at hand. The task at hand is to push for a radical economic transformation by removing Pravin Gordhan, by supporting President Zuma's call for land redistribution without compensation, making sure that black people become actors in the economy of our country. Now, white capital is worried. We know that London, where these instructions come from, is panicky. We know that Musi Maimani, the leader of the opposition party, is in London. We know that Pravin Gordhan himself had to be recalled from London. The instructions to basically destabilize the moves by President Zuma come from London, because that's where the headquarters of South Africa's white monopoly capital is. So this new attempt by Julius Malema must be seen for what it is. It is a desperate attempt to protect white monopoly capital. White monopoly capital wants him to come out now and to play the usual role that EFF plays, which is to protect white interests. That's what it is about.
Would you actually call this grandstanding from the Economic Freedom Fighters, given that the president can now only be impeached by Parliament?
Well, it's not even grandstanding. It is more attempt to confuse and to divert the attention of the president from doing what is supposed to happen. It is also an attempt to confuse the nation. It's an attempt to undermine the important historic event that must unfold, which is the firing of Minister Pravin Gordhan by President Zuma, to make sure we usher into a new dispensation in our economy. It is an attempt to undermine the call for radical land distribution by President Zuma. Really, this is trying to put pressure on President Zuma not to act. And that is the interest of white capital. White capital at this point is very worried, is very concerned that President Zuma is moving towards the left, is moving towards a radical posture, and he will remove their representative, who is Pravin Gordhan. Pravin Gordhan is the representative of white monopoly capital. That is what is at stake here. It is a fight back of white monopoly capital and those Black First, Land First called land thieves, and they're using Julius Malema.
Well, Mr. Malema, thank you so much for speaking to us here at 8 and 7. Thank you for your time. Well, that was Mr. Malema, the national convener of the Black First, Land First, just sharing with us the BLF's reactions towards the move by the Economic Freedom Fighters to file papers at the High Court to impeach President Jacob Zuma.